I find that one of the most important things that these heliocentric enthusiasts like to cling to is the International Space Station. They like to say that, well, we do actually have a 24-hour live feed of the Earth spinning. You can see the curvature and all that from the ISS. Anybody that decides that they want to take a little bit of time to do some research will find lots of footage of the so-called International Space Station with these astronauts actually conducting their training in pools.
Walks. These are faked inside a swimming pool. It's a custom-built swimming pool, and that's a great way to fake zero gravity. About 6 months ago, in 2013, a gallon of water leaked into one of their spacesuits in a matter of seconds. NASA doesn't really have a proper explanation for how on earth this could have happened. There shouldn't be water leaking into someone's...
They conducted training in these pools because, well, that's pretty much what they're doing. The International Space Station, I mean, it could rather be called the International Swimming Station. There's been like tons of footage uploaded where they've made mistakes and they were unable to edit out the bubbles rising in their spacewalks.
The crew members going through some final steps before they get out the door. Just to update you, the spacewalk has officially started. That start time coming at 6:24 a.m. Central, 7:24 a.m. Eastern, while the station was just a little under 250 statute miles just to the north of Indonesia.
Finding my pouch is not going to be easy. Oh, there it is. Well, once you get in, get yours in, let me know, because I'm going to have to come your way a little bit. Okay.
Alright, so now we'll zoom in close, and remember there will be two separate little bursts. Now some people may say, well, those are just little particles or little ice pieces. Well, then they should orbit with the ISS as they are falling around the planet, just like the ISS. There's no reason for ice particles or air bubbles or dust or anything to fly rapidly out of the airlock door at rapid paces. I mean, they're not being shot out of the door. What's going on here? They should not rise rapidly to the surface. Many people will then say, but they didn't rise up. They went off to the side. Well, yes, but we can just take the video, as I'll do right now, and turn it to the left, and now all of a sudden, the bubbles, or particles, or whatever you want to call them, rise straight up to the surface as things in water generally do.
There's a popular hashtag going around, bubbles in space. Might want to check that one out, if you haven't already. They say that you can see the curvature from the International Space Station, but the fact of the matter is they're using fisheye lenses while they're doing this filming, and that's obvious to anybody that's paying attention. Also, there's been lots of blooper reels done on board the International Space Station showing that these astronauts are using wire harnesses.
Well, let me tell you something about the space station. It's only really there in your imagination. That thing ain't real. It's science fiction. It's there to feed your space addiction. Those astronauts are not in space. It's written all over their stupid face. See, I can spot a lie from 100 miles. And I can spot a fraud from the way they smile. Didn't you learn nothing from the fake moon mission? That puppet show from President Nixon. Well, listen up, they're doing it again, it seems. Check out the harnesses and green screens. I used to work a lot in film and TV. I know a bit about the television trickery to create the illusion that you're somewhere that you're not. A green screen is what you're gonna use a lot. Or if you wear a harness and attach it to the ceiling, the illusion that you're floating is what they'll be believing. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race. So let me tell you something about a zero-G plane. This thing flies up and then down again. Some weird stuff happens if you're on the inside. You start to float as the plane takes a dive. Simply add an actor that's trained to deceive, and you got yourself an astronaut, or so you believe. Plane flies up and that's everyone's cue. Then action, we got some deceiving to do. Plane flies down and then everyone knows to start the ISS live show. Floating in a plane with zero-G, but you only see astronauts on your TV. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race.
Not to mention all the ladies on these so-called space missions that always have permed hair to simulate them actually being out in space, when in actuality, you can see how real hair operates in zero gravity through footage from a zero gravity plane.
One of the tricks they use to maintain continuity between periods of weightlessness. Take a look at this woman's hair. Doesn't it look a bit strange to you? Look how it seems to spring back into place. We're led to believe that this is an effect of weightlessness, that the hair will just sort of float around. But it doesn't quite seem natural, does it? Here's video from the Vomit Comet again. Watch the way this woman's hair flows as she moves. Seems quite obvious now that this is some kind of perm or hairspray, so that between periods of weightlessness we get that visual continuity.
But I suppose that's neither here nor there. Oh, and let's not even get into one of the most recent bloopers by NASA. Happened a few weeks ago. There was this massive CGI glitch while they were supposed to be recording live, showing that there was live editing going on during the recording. But let's talk about the exterior of this International Space Station. So, the orbital height of the International Space Station is said to be 250 miles up, away from the Earth's surface. Okay, 250 miles. That leaves it right between the mesosphere and the exosphere. That puts it in a place called the thermosphere. The temperature of the thermosphere can reach up to 3,632 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the ISS, one of the most commonly used materials of the ISS is 2219 T6 aluminum alloy. The melting temperature of aluminum is 1,221 degrees Fahrenheit. The melting temperature of glass is 1,538 degrees Fahrenheit. The melting temperature of steel is 2,750 degrees Fahrenheit. the melting temperature of titanium is 3,034 degrees Fahrenheit. Doesn't that mean that most of the external components of the ISS should be, I don't know, melted? That would pretty much be what happens. That's like, I don't know, taking an airplane made out of snow and flying that thing around in Texas in July. That's about how well that would work out, just to simulate on a common sense level how people comprehend that the ISS is operating at those temperatures in the thermosphere. It makes absolutely no sense. The ISS being at that altitude in those temperatures is a physical impossibility because the external components would have melted time and time again. You get that? Now, let's take a look at the ISS. Maybe we can figure out why it hasn't melted yet. Oh, I see why it hasn't melted. Because it's a hologram. Yeah, what you just saw right there, that was a hologram. Okay? The ISS is supposed to be up that high. It's all lit up. It's all bright and shiny. And people think that they can actually film this thing. And actually, people would say, you know what? There is a website, and the ISS really is up there. It's not a hologram. You can actually go out there and film the ISS anytime you want. Okay. You think you can go outside and film the ISS. Now let's go ahead and build this up. A quick Google search is going to tell you that the speed of sound is 768 miles per hour, as simulated here with this jet breaking the sound barrier.
There it is.
Okay, also, the speed of a bullet is about twice the speed of sound. So let's go ahead and check out some bullets being fired somewhere around 1,536 miles per hour. Okay, now, another Google search is going to tell you that the regular speed of the International Space Station is somewhere around 17,150 miles per hour. Let me say that again. 17,150 miles per hour. Okay? The circumference of the Earth is said to be 24,901 miles around. All right? That means that the ISS should make a complete orbit around the Earth every, let's say, hour and a half. Somewhere around every 90 minutes or so, the ISS should make a complete orbit around the Earth, if it's a globe. Yes? All right, so let's check out that blazing speed on this video. Now, I'm just going to leave it to you. After seeing those bullets flying through the air, after seeing that jet breaking the sound barrier, now, does it really look to you like the ISS is moving anywhere near 17,000 miles per hour or 22 times the speed of sound? Does it look like it's going that fast? Really? So people believe that they can go outside, take a telescope or a camera, and they can actually point it at the sky and keep up with the ISS while it's moving overhead, while it's going in excess of 17,000 miles per hour. You really think so? Do you really believe that if the ISS is moving at 17,150 miles per hour, that anyone will be able to take a clear picture or video of it? You think so? I don't. Another question. They say that the ISS was taken up in pieces and built while in orbit. Was it traveling at that speed while they were building it? At what point did the ISS begin to travel at this speed? Seriously, I mean, because if you take a good look at it, you don't see any thrusters that are supposedly pushing it to go 17,000 miles per hour. I mean, at what point did it achieve this breakneck speed. Seriously. Another question. How is it that something the size of a football field can achieve such speeds? Just think about that. ISS is supposed to be the size of a football field. It was built in pieces out in orbit. You really think it's going that fast? And seriously, if the ISS is up there, do you really think that it will be, one, moving at those speeds, and two, be able to sustain itself during orbit in those temperatures that would melt the exterior of the ISS? Also, if it's moving at excess of 17,000 miles per hour, and there's supposed to be all this debris and space junk out there, anything that taps the ISS, regardless of size, is going to tear right through it. As you take a closer look at these things and start to ask questions concerning the heliocentric model and the different parts of it, it starts to break down and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just take some time to think about these things and start asking questions to understand these things, because, I mean, seriously, it just doesn't pass the common sense test. The ISS would have melted. There's no way it's going that fast. It's obviously a hologram. They're in a pool. You can see bubbles. You know about the fisheye lens technology. You've seen video with the harnesses. You've seen the CGI glitches. It's all smoke and mirrors. Now, I stay on flat Earth because I see flat Earth as a way to open the door to the other deceptions. Because obviously, if somebody will lie to you about the very foundation of the world that you live in, they'll lie to you about everything else. I use flat Earth to open the door to these other things. If you understand that you've been lied to about the very place that you're going to exist through your whole life, the next question you need to be asking is, well, what else would they lie to us about? And the obvious answer is everything. So from here, spread the truth, expose the lies, and demand answers. This is the Flat Earth Offensive. You are the resistance.